as well. And yeah, we're going to jump into pick ban for Game 3. Doesn't happen very often that I get to cast the Game 3, but I stole Atlas's day today. So yeah, I get to do this again.
And how does the final time that SK Telecom T1 versus KT Rolster is read in terms of nameplates go? We won't know till game number 3. We're going the full best of 3 here, and not a series more historic to do it in. But my guess is that there's going to be a big change in SKT's blue side bans because, dear listeners, Gragas, Vlad, Jace was their first round. I don't think there's a world where they ban Vlad and Jace on blue side and join it with a Gragas. I just can't see that. And they can definitely first pick Jace. So suddenly things get a bit different. And now KT are thinking, how many of Jace and Vlad should we ban?
Jace is one. I would hope that Vlad is another.
So that means that SKT kind of get a free ban here. I wonder what you free ban against KT. This is almost like a day off for them. They can kind of ban whatever they want and know that Vladimir is too bold a thing for KT to leave up. So what do they ban on blue side is my question. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Gango's champion pool is kind of unexplored after the Draven, so you don't really want to go there. But they go for another champion. He played in the LJL. He played quite a lot of Kalista. In and out of meta, kind of like Stitch, so they'll ban Kalista anyway. It is a first pick,
yeah.
And right now they're saying we will first pick Vladimir or Lissandra, and they get Vladimir for free, Valdez. That's bold. It turns out it wasn't a day off, but it might just be a party day.
Yeah. I feel like after game 1, they're like, oh, we have to actually do some research on Gango? Like, this matters here? As you can see, Khan is really putting some heavy thought into this.
He's
one.
like, what is he going to play into Vlad? They're for
eating
sure.
Sour Patch Kids. As thinking about Lissandra here. Okay.
Wow. Interesting. So, no doubt the comms there are around the Vladimir and the potential Vladimir matchups. Not every series has been highly prized. We just watched it win MVP. And it shows that KT stealing away Lissandra in the first game. Yes, we know that's a Faker champion, but they're rating it over the Vladimir this time. So that's very interesting. You get a bit of insight into SKT's draft priorities so they can get the Zoe into Lissandra that we know well and good that BDD is very strong on. They will lock that in.
No Zed, eh?
What does this mean for Vladimir is still my question.
Vlad has a really high percentage of winning.
Who's
so
baiting
far.
who on the Vladimir? I need to know.
Just pick it. I mean, it's so good.
I'm with you on that.
That's the Valdez pick ban strategy. Why don't you just pick the good champions?
But now KT say, well, they didn't take it the first time. The cool thing about Vlad is if you take it at BDD's picks, you can definitely get a pair of bans in against it, but surely this is the way SKT are gonna go. Surely you take the Vlad eventually. This is a pick that exists into it. Ryze beats Vlad in lane trades more than people remember. If you remember, the only way Vlad sustained through this lane is if you went Spectre's Cowl into normal build. So I think this is probably the next level we were talking about, but they actually just give up the Ryze and go for Aatrox. It's so lucky LS isn't casting today. He would have stopped now.
Yeah, he's like, I've had enough. I'm leaving.
Here's the upside. Smeb listened to our cast during the break of game number 2 and said, Papa Smithy, I hate him. I don't want to build Executioner's Calling ever. He gets to build no Executioner's Calling on Aatrox and get his passive for some healing reduction. In the early game, he can still do some relevant damage and punishment onto the Vladimir. Or he can go Executioner's Calling Jarvan. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Jungle Jarvan. But the Aatrox does have healing reduction in his kit. That's kind of the maximum I have, apart from you can turret dive really well with Aatrox Jarvan.
The next level would have been the Vayne top up against the Vlad, just for bringing back the oldies from the last series. But not going to happen this time, as Tom Kench is going to be denied.
Is it safe enough for Teddy to play Vayne? Interesting question. He has Vlad, Lissandra, and the Lights Out. Maybe the answer is yes. We'll wait and see. AD carry pool is only bereft of the Draven and Kalista, so if Gango just says, well, I'm going to play Lucian like everyone else does, who's to say we don't see Teddy do his best ruler impersonation?
Could happen, but already the Braum going to be taken away in terms of stuff that could protect it alongside the Galio, so will be interesting as so much of the support pool is just denied already.
Bot lane Dregs are left. Lucian X is the strongest possible lane available on paper, but there are always ways to play around things, and KT are being very smart because they take their support and they say, give us the info as to what you want to play. We're not going to give you an entire lane counter pick. If you go Soraka, then you can't harass and you mess up an all-in, or you lose your flash and things fall apart. What's the blind lane going to be from SKT? Kalista Rakan? Sorry, Kai'Sa Rakan is a possibility. Has been a favorite elsewhere, and we do see the Rakan today on patch 9.5 with the buffs later than we might have first thought, but it does happen.
Oh, and okay. We're going to have a little bit of a flex. They get the Aatrox confirmation in the top lane, and they say, okay, we'll just throw Vlad into the bottom side.
And now they get Khan on his pick. They kind of abandon bot side 2v2, but the result is Khan potentially running away with the game, and he's done this reliably. He's in a great purple patch of form on the top side. So Teddy comes back into the Vladimir. Last time we saw a lot of awesome dudes from SKT there with their 2-0 loss to Griffin, but now you have an in-form Khan to just put everything on a silver platter for. We know this matchup is Fiora favored from early. It took a lot of work from SKT to stop that just being the case in game number 1. And now it's the reverse matchup, and you gotta love Khan every time he locks in Fiora.
Well, it does feel like SKT had more tricks up their sleeve. They were able to get the Vlad plus a good matchup into the top side with a little bit of trickery. So, I don't know. Just does feel like SKT got ahead in this one. What do you think, Papa?
I think SKT have a lot of things to work around. The only way they have a kind of, not game ending, but the mortal blow will be Baron. If Baron goes to the side of KT Rolster, actually SKT's comp sucks against Baron. They don't have any AD wave clear, apart from Fiora melee range. So because of that, they get shut down by Baron, but they have good matchups, and they should never lose Baron control. So I like what SKT have. Also, Kai'Sa as a last pick makes a lot of sense of, well, she can piggyback gank, right? She can swoop in on a side lane and maybe take down Fiora if she's too bold. But that doesn't always go the way of the 2 against Fiora. And the laning phase, it's really hard to find enough sustain to deal with a Vladimir in the 2v2. When we saw a lot of Kai'Sa versus Vlad, it was deft going things like the biscuits and going things like the corrupting potion, because you don't build lifesteal early in the build. You can go play the Ruin King, I guess, now in this new world of Kai'Sa, but a lot of AD carries, Doublelift, for example, have taken aim and taken offense at the Play the Ruin King build. Maybe you have to do it as Gango. Otherwise, I even like Vlad in the 2v2.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Let's hop onto the Rift for game number 3. I think I heard someone say Griffin fighting.
I think it was a Cloud Templar fighting. Kuta.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
That's what I heard. I was trying to listen for that one because he seems like a big fan of Korean caster Cloud Templar.
That would make more sense. I think you're right on this one, as they're just trading it back and forth. This series, very feisty overall.
For some reason, I was thinking of BDD and Faker meeting in a bar in 40 years' time and taking swigs of their drink and having a little biffo, because they're just both chugging corrupting potions and fighting. Knowing Faker, water. They'd be drinking water.
Yeah.
And yet they'd still be fighting.
Even 40 years from now?
Yeah.
After they retire on their millions of esports bucks, sitting back and they're drinking water.
Water's a pretty good drink.
Oh, we're drinking water right now.
We drank water 40 years ago. Not you and I, but you understand the point. And we'll drink water in 40 years.
Okay. I was more so asking, like, what do you think that would be their drink? Is this appropriate for the youngest kind of crowd we have watching this game? I'm not sure.
We're talking about 40 years. They're allowed to drink when they're, I guess they'd be like, what
type
62?
of cola do you think? Let's change the topic of what they'd be drinking.
I don't know if I've ever seen an LCK player drink cola on the desk. I don't think I've ever seen them have one ready for them. It's almost always water or barley tea or something like that.
Or like Picari Sweat.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's another one. Some of the players drink that. That was more common in StarCraft.
I don't see that as much. I feel like the nutritionists are even in more in full flight when it comes to LCK these days.
Not enough bananas, though. I don't see a lot of these players eating bananas. Very good for your mind.
You know what's not good for Aatrox? Fiora. It's a tricky matchup, as we can tell already. But Score is trying to camp it. That's one way to go. A lot of top laners have been investing into Ghost Power for moments like this. It's basically a control ward with limited sight range from level 1. Can't how to put down, and that means no harm, no foul.
It's great for lanes where you know you're going to be pushed up, and I mean, you've only got one ward, right? So it gives you that extra little bit of vision that's always so fantastic in the early game. So if you can afford it, definitely a fantastic rune to go into.
So the only way Gengo has found sustain has gotten 2 potions, because he can start Doran's Ring pretty flexibly onto the Kai'Sa. Has the teleport as well, but we've seen these matchups before, and if the Vladimir hits his core items, which is usually just fiendish into a proto belt, you just turret dive Kai'Sa and she dies, right? That's what happens with no heal, so feels like the swing in this matchup can come early, and the lane trades are already pretty good for Vlad, even before his items are ready. Able to start Ruby Crystal in the duo lane as well. Feels like the only other person I saw start Ruby Crystal was Rumble, trying to get the world's fastest Oblivion Orb in the top lane, so not a common start, but one that Teddy can take pretty flexibly. And like you were kind of alluding to, we like a lot of what SKT has done in draft. The only problems are Nocturne hits the Rift later in terms of the ganks, and BDD has a very nice matchup into the Lissandra.
It's true. See if he can get a better trade than he did earlier on in this one. So far, things are quite even, and actually Faker is slightly, very slightly, ahead in the mid lane.
Something to call out, though, is, yes, like you mentioned, the CS is going to crash, they're basically even, but the meaningful lead is actually in corrupting potion swigs. Faker is through with his, and there's still 1 left on BDD, so that does mean that you approach the lane differently. People know this. When you're out of regen, you got to play more respectfully, so that is the one thing that BDD holds over his opponent.
Yeah, especially in the mana, you can see that Faker and Lissandra in general definitely needs that mana to do her pushing. Both of them do go for the minion dematerializer. You see that very often nowadays, and a lot of these lanes that don't want to get pushed or want to push. It's quite a good rune as well.
I kind of want to be old man yelling at the TV screen for a moment about a certain individual in our community. His name's Jat. You might have heard of him.
Who's that?
He came to my mind purely because you were talking about the Lissandra changes. Obviously, the mana changes was the first balance changes that Jat put out there. He had a Reddit post about Riven that a lot of people would have seen, entitled "How Powered is Riven?" talking about how overpowered some people believe it to be, and certainly not an underpowered champion. Can you and I agree that that's not a statement or a question? No one has ever asked that. How powered is something?
How
you can be overpowered and underpowered, but the topic was how powered is Riven? And I'm not okay with that. I've been thinking about it ever since I read the title.
Just can't get it out of your mind. That must have been a while ago, right?
It was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But I've been thinking about it a lot.
That's a long time in esports
You just
terms.
invented a new question type. You can't use powered that way. No. No.
That doesn't really seem okay.
Thank you. I'm glad you're with me here. I feel very strongly about this.
You feel very powered about it?
I'm going to punch you about this.
Poweredly, perhaps?
Strongly, even.
Yeah.
How strong is Riven?
That's
real question.
That's what I was getting at, as he knows balance, but maybe needs to work on the English a little bit. As Gone for once being pushed in. Here's Smeb getting the push on and hits level 6, and you can see that he was being very respectful of that moment. It's Clid even is going to make a play up here, but again, it's Aatrox at level 6. But see what they can do.
Pretty long lane. I think if there was no ward at all, maybe you can make the play, but actually, nice call from both sides. Quickly, Nocturne says, nope, I've been spotted, and quickly, Score says, I fancy myself a Drake. It is first spawn, Mountain Drake, and they could be very important as the game goes on. Very interesting to see how Smeb subverts this matchup. So far, being respectful. That only lasts until there's a couple of items on Fiora, and then she takes your respect and still kind of sticks it to you under the turret. So there really is some timing windows there, and that was all the clever ruse that gets Teddy this bot lane, Vladimir.
And he's already at his core items now. The 2 CDR items going to be hitting for that one as Baker has an ultimate. Okay. Going to survive just barely on the backside of that one, but I was going to mention how Infernal Drake actually comes out here. I think we've only seen one other, and I don't think it was taken in one of the series earlier on, but
if we get a replay of that,
will happen.
I want to mention this, Valdez. If we get a replay of that, actually BDD landed everything, and then Faker ulted. So It's not like he was negating damage.
Yeah.
That was BDD's real flash to make that play happen. That's a pretty big price. Now that Cleanse only does so much against Lissandra Knight.
Didn't have that calculation, it seems. We'll see if we do get the relook. It's called the replay, actually.
It's a small chance, I guess, more Sparkle's auto might have been negated, but I would need a replay to confirm. I just noticed the damage thumps register of that huge range extended paddle star with Flash.
That's what we're waiting for here.
Good matchup, but no CS lead for BDD in the mid lane to mirror the CS lead that Khan has up top side. Like we kind of alluded to, no regen availability for Gango. You can't just go Legends Bloodline and be okay. That's not how it works. Legends Bloodline has a very, very slow ramp-up time. You have to play AD carry to appreciate it, because if you play jungle and you think it's the same as how fast you get tenacity or attack speed, you'd be so wrong. It's really slow. On getting that healing, BF Sword opening here. We might have our second press the attack Stormrazor rush, and it seems to be more about just how cleanly you hit the two evolves, even though you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of not getting the synergy with the energized items.
Yeah, can't be a mistake if it happens twice, unless both AD carries are talking to each other about how this is okay. As good ward here is going to spot where score is at. And yeah, not too much action in this game so far. No first blood just yet, nearing about 9 minutes, but the Drake did go the way of KT. And these lanes, though, are going the way of SKT in a big way, as Khan, dominating the top side, also going to get the first plate of the game.
And there's just not enough vision for SMABS. One ward, but of course not spotting vision on any sort of Nocturne play. All he can do is hug his turret, and to your point about the inaction, that always will lead to the inevitable question of, well, who likes it if we all show up with our 5-item builds at 35 minutes? And I stick by the only game state where I really like KT's comp is if they get Baron, and that just should be so impossible with how much pressure Fior will be laying on. Mid lane.
Trying to get on in here. The mana doesn't seem to be quite there, but do they have the damage as finally they get the kill? But Score trying to get in Bavada from the bottom lane. Picks it up. Alley-oop to the team as the first roam comes in from the SKT support.
And that's so pivotal. It would have been a 1-for-1, maybe an extended 2-for-1, but a 2-for-0 is so much cleaner. Mata happy to pack up and roam. No chance you're going to turret dive and kill a Vladimir left to his own devices. Big roam from Mata. His best moment of the series.
That it is. The Rakan able to get into range real quick from the bottom side, as we do have this trade. Khan looking to end Smeb's world, is just going to chunk him down a bunch and not give him the regen, win the trade, and continue the domination in the top side.
Looking forward to the replay, because it's going to be one where we can look at the minimap. We weren't able to look at the minimap. Your eyes are trained on the action in 2v2s like that, but actually the minimap gave us the full spoilers. Khan did the responsible thing. It's the right move against a Zillion more often than not. It's the right move in the 1v1 laning matchup. Don't give him the revive heal. Just let him kind of linger and think about his life on low health. That'll get you turret plates. They were cashed in this time by Khan. He goes back. So watch the replay and watch the minimap. Look at where Mata starts this play. He walks to red, then blast plants closer, and he is so much closer to the action, and it even falls into his lap. The heal to guarantee that Clid doesn't go down. Hard to say, hard to eyeball whether that was going to be necessary, but he got there first. To the victor and to the aggressor, the spoils. Very nice roam timing by Mata.
Makes it happen. Perfect timing from him. As now we are going to be looking at this Infernal Drake. It was a good trade, obviously, to the side of SKT, who are now 2,000 gold ahead, but we found a member of SKT in the jungle. This time it's Mata, so great play into Mistake as he gets caught. Could mean another Drake goes the way of KT.
Interesting. I didn't actually see how that started and why he was in headbutt pulverize range of the Alistair, but you're right. Got the drop on him. That should get some turret plates, but we're just cashing in. Almost feels like everyone's getting their gold. In moments where I see turret plates crashing in top and bot, I'm remembered when it was double relic versus double relic for a patch, and everyone's just walking up to minion waves, hoovering gold.
Yeah.
I guess that was 8.1 last year when everyone was just cashing in everywhere. But suddenly, it's 40,000 gold in the game in 12 minutes. how about getting some efficiency on those gold purchases?
Another Infernal, too, is the next one, as Khan is just asserting his dominance in the top side. Obviously helps to have a bunch of his team there, but he was doing it even when nobody was there. And it was just the 1v1, continuing to just hoover up that gold up on the top side. They also did get the Rift Herald. That's going to be on to Klid here. So an essential trade in objectives goes the way of SKT.
Now it looks like just a straight up trade, but there's actually a misnomer thinking that. They have a 2 turret plate lead in the mid lane in a bad matchup. Lissandra has got 2 turret plates, and Rift Herald could be just killing the mid lane turret. This was a bait. It was Ghost Flash on Mata, which tells you he wants to roam, and that was a nice EQ interrupt. I'm going over the wall, and Knight does the rest. But I want to mention, remember, this is a Zoe winning matchup, and Lissandra has already gotten clearly a couple of plates in, and then you just walk up to mid lane and put down the Rift Herald, and that's a no mid lane turret Zoe, who has almost toothless threat compared to a Zoe when you have a tempo advantage, when you really have control of the enemy jungle.
It's one of those things that I've felt over time just playing against a lot of Lissandra and playing with a lot of Lissandra is that just the ability to go into Aftershock and pick up that free demolish means that if you ever leave lane against her, as he's going to take a little bit of damage. If you ever leave lane, you're at risk of losing 1, 2. Every single time you leave, you're going to lose probably at least 1 plating, which is so crucial nowadays with all the gold on the platings here.
And if you think back to when that would have happened this game, it was when Mata out-roamed the Alistar, they got the kills, and then they could get the plates, and they could greed for Aftershock procs, and also the demolish procs that weren't possible before. So this was very much about the first roam being super consequential. And yes, we can do the Mata PogChamp, Mata lol after he dies on the second roam timing, but the damage was done the first time. And it's something I like to always talk about is it's all about what you get and also where the game's going in terms of scalings, because if you've got the late game scaling and you inject gold early, you can mess up and yet the game is still going to reach a good state for you if that's what you drafted for. So SKT still largely the benefactors. We get that cool overlay imported from the Afrika TV Challenges broadcast with love. So awesome to have that out there. LCK leading the pack with the major regions.
That's just good information to know. You can always kind of eyeball it, but sometimes, especially after the plates go down, you're like, wait, how many plates did he get exactly? So really good stuff as Klid looking for that Rift Herald play, but Score nearby, trying to deny.
So I'm sure a lot of people are going to have that side discussion about Stormrazor, but again, we're getting the confirmation this game that it's by far the chosen build because of the extra 80% attack speed, making the 2-item spike strong. Doesn't change the fact that Gango's items just look disgusting. Look at his inventory.
Ugh.
And you're just like, he's got a whole lot of nothing.
Gross.
He's found an item that apparently Smeb, they clearly didn't talk to Smeb about Vlad items here because he has gone for the Executioner's Calling, so we salute you Gango on that one, but it definitely doesn't look good, and it feels bad with the no energized effect to get the slow on the first auto attack, one of the cool things about Stormrazor, but you know, looks are important. Korea is definitely a country where that is very, very true. The optics around everything here are always highly discussed publicly, and it just doesn't pass the eye test.
Okay, in goes Faker 1v4. Doesn't really have much backup here, as now he's trying to go in, and finally Klid goes in, but he's kind of all alone in a very disjointed fight. As Smeb is going to roll and okay, going to get the big Hemo play, again Mata going in, but do they have the follow-up damage? Faker going to go down. Khan on the chase is going to assassinate Gango, and Score all of a sudden gets burst down by Teddy. SKT going to win this one 2-1, as finally they find a way into the fight.
That was a very big engagement. It's still going.
Oh, BDD. Oh, he's going to be chunked out, and nice dodge, but only for a moment as SKT pick up another.
And that's one of those weird scenarios where you couldn't have a more picture-perfect Rakan Vlad play, but it's before Vlad actually has the true bite behind his bark. We know it only gets better for Vlad, and they won before it gets better, Valdez. They actually end up trading up, even though it was just Proto Belt and CDR stacking on Teddy.
It's very disjointed to start as Faker goes in alone, but they're able to turn it around eventually.
They get the trouble bubble onto Faker, and actually means that he's not able to get much out at the start of the fight. And then you think, all right, it was the wrong timing, everyone backs away, no problem. Watch Mata. He does what you see from great players. On a dime, he's going in. It's the famous call from Double Lift playing against RNG was, how could he walk up to me in lane like that on Alistair? We saw this from BDD when he went for his re-engage under turret against Faker. The best players look for match-winning plays, and this could have been the wrong time. We know it's before Vladimir was online, but he judges it correctly, and if he does that in 20 minutes, SKT win the fight 10 times out of 10.
Yeah. Assist there from Shelly, gets the knockback.
나이스. 자 미드 한번 이거 박는 것만 봐줘. 박는 것만.
Nice. I like that one.
I wish we got the
side of
comms a
Khan.
bit earlier. I know we get the nicer moment, but I wanted to hear...
He also said, I got him.
Well, he's correct on that one, but I wanted to hear the genesis of the all-in, because it was a very clear call. Was that Mata saying, I'm going in? Was it Teddy saying, I can go in? Where the comms are very interesting. We don't get that information. All we know is that Score is a man trying to make something happen.
He's on a mission here. As if they could catch Fiora. Oh, he knows something's amiss, but he's still going to get caught out here. Good riposte. He's staying alive for so long, does a bunch of damage, but eventually does go down. Mamata and Clid are here to try to follow up. In goes the Aatrox and Gango, though, looking to turn one back. They don't seem to have the damage, though, as Gango is getting extremely low. In goes Mata as well. And SKT going to be able to win this one big time as 3 more kills, able to roll it back. And they should also get the Inferno.
So much more forgiving for the 5v5. Everyone can dive. No AD carry has to choose his moment. Making a dive, going back in just to make sure that BDD leaves. Inferno is taken.
Triple slow into the knock-up. See you later, BDD. You stuck around for too long. Not sure why you wanted to 1v4 on the Inferno, but he gives his life again.
It's just such a tricky to execute comp. If the best I can give you is, if they get a Baron, it's a world of hurt. It lets you know that around there, the flexing of the Vlad has really opened up a lot of great options. Khan, like you mentioned, should have been dead earlier, so it does about 400 damage more than he should have. And then Gango, he's an AD carry. In an awesome dude's world, has to choose his moment. By the time he chooses, though, he gets in. Zoe can't. Zoe and the Kai'Sa have differing ways to impact team fights, and unfortunately, Zoe doesn't get anything done. Nothing he can do on the back end is Aatrox. That means Infernal and even a Zoe sent to the dungeon.
We talked about an awesome dude's world. It's Vlad's world. He can go in pretty much any lane, and here at level 11, he's gotten nearly 45 CDR, probably has it already, doing insane damage, stays alive for so long, underneath everybody, makes the Kai'Sa worthless in the fight. The SKT are very far behind, but damn, Vlad is good.
But KT overthought it. They left open Vladimir, Lissandra. And then the Lissandra was claimed, and the free Vladimir was overlooked. The whole, well, they didn't take it first pick. But then you're left with the flexibility that Vlad provides. He's even more flexible than Lissandra, because we never see Lissandra top, let alone bot lane. Vlad goes to all 3 of them, and the Aatrox was already kind of a questionable choice into Vlad. They get the other poison, it's this champion, and she's outnumbered, and yet she seems fine.
Yeah, and everybody on KT trying to hop on the bus there for that kill, but not quite able to do much as Smeb wasn't able to bait it quite well enough, and Faker just up spending his time taking out turrets. Nobody really challenging him here, as down it will go.
A lot of accepting your fate now as KT. You need to find a way for the purple worm to die and for a red champion to be attributed to it. That's all they've got. They lose this side lane. The Vlad is now already into the eyes fully dilated. That's a lot of damage route, and Rakan has proven that he can get into a fight. Now, you could also chase on Khan. Maybe this is the start of the Baron.
Yeah, Khan just taking a bunch of damage. Just gonna flash over the wall, but nice response here. They're going way too deep.
Wait, what's happening here?
What is going on? Clid is going way too far, but guys, Vladimir is still a champion. Can he take them out? Faker able to burst them down as well, but Gango chipping them away one by one. The question is, does it matter? The answer is Vlad is a champion, as Gango is not going to be able to do much on the backside.
You're very forgiving on this draft, SKT. You got a lot of options, but the trouble bubble hits there, and it seems like the Kai'Sa would have got it as well. SKT don't get routed because Vladimir is still so strong, and yet You make that mistake 2 more times, and maybe analysis need not apply.
I mean, he's 5-0-4, doing a good job, but yeah, I mean, SKT trying to throw caution to the wind and having a little bit of fun. You never want to have too much fun, though. You want to have a little bit of fun and enjoy your lead and smack them with your wallet, as Atlas would say, but when you're diving turrets after your Fiora dies, probably a little bit too much.
I always like to pause the clip and say, what was the objective now? And very early in this play, you understand. So far, so good. Clip could back away at this point. He decides to just run after Zoe. That's not the best use of your time. And he just gets taken down because he has damage. So the very easy question for Clid, right, is what are we doing here? We could just backed away. Chose not to do that and just died straight up through GA. And now we get the other side of the fight. This is from the start of it, of course. The dive-in happens at this point, which is when we followed the top side. Fiora dies, but then everyone else is just caught with their pants down in weird terrain. We're re-engaging around the Vladimir. There was so many times a cool head should have said, yeah, he's dead, let's get out of there.
Yeah.
But they chased the loss. That's the one I like to say is they traded down when everything should be theirs, and then everyone's like, don't worry about it, I'll get a kill, a double kill. We'll chase the loss and we'll get there. Again, it feels like the casino analogy of just doubling down, right? You can just double down enough times playing blackjack and you get your stake back, right? Sometimes the answer is no. There's no guarantees the double down ever works.
Not too much talking there from Smeb, as I feel like 95, 97% of those clips are the players saying nice. We'll have to ask them to be a little bit more interesting the next time. As, yeah, Teddy looking down the barrel of a sweet hat as his third item. Has that 1,000 gold bounty, the only person in the game with the bounty as well. As the Mountain Drake is going to even things up in terms of Drakes for both SKT and KT.
So a lot of healing reduction does bring up an interesting question, which is, it's Teddy on the Vladimir. I think he's had some pretty good, mage performances, but clearly less games in Vlad than in a traditional AD carry, outside of maybe something edge like Nico or something. So given that, does he know exactly how tanky he is and exactly how much he can overextend against 100% guaranteed Grievous wounds? There's always the chance that even though everything is stacked and Vladimir carrying, you just overrate your power for half a second, you get 300, 400 less healing, and you die. And if the Vlad dies, things could fall apart here. It shouldn't happen. There's so many places to win. Fiora rolls up, and Aatrox says, guys, what's going on here? They've got the Vladimir for team fights, and he's got his hat. Like, there's so many ways SKT win this game, and we've already talked about how a Baron showing up on KT's side is the only way they can actually have control of the game around this point, around 25 minutes. And yet after that last dive, we have to bring up the counterpoint, which is, I guess it could happen if specifically Vladimir makes a pretty critical mistake.
Yeah. It'll be up to Teddy. He does have a couple of active items, so Sonya is going to be pretty huge in terms of if he does get himself into a particularly bad spot, maybe he can survive for just a moment longer, get his cooldowns back up and do Vlad things.
But if cooler heads prevail, you really feel like SKT have a lot of choices. The map control right now is kind of that diagonal line through Raptors and Blue that lets you know that they control way more than half of the resource on the map, so the CS leads will be growing. KT need to find that pick from the heavens that they were kind of too obvious about on the Gragas Yasuo duo in game number 2. They continue to push up here, and now KT need to find a way to get Baron Vision. They got one blue trinket available. That's onto the Kai'Sa, and they can see a lot of the members of SKT. But every time Khan or any of the side laners dips into a brush, you got to get to panic stations about that Baron.
Khan just trying to bait it here, but Smeb is not having any of that. Playing it smart, knows that he can't exactly move away from his turret for now. Just gonna sit back and kind of let it happen, as Fiora so much stronger than him right now, up about 2,500 gold even.
The easiest way to win this game is to pick score when he tries to check the Baron with his flag. Because his flag will be down, you can get a kill. Speaking of picks though, let's try running at Khan and see how it goes.
We're gonna ult Score, who misses his flag and drag, and well, Khan gonna get his ultimate, so can anybody stop him now? Nocturne ultimate gonna come in as well. just to say back away from the con, and well, they get the kill, they kill Score.
And picture Valdez, look at this. Faker's pushing in as well.
We also got the push in the mid lane. Don't even need Baron right now for SKT with how they're playing the map.
That was pretty poor from Score. It's so easy to turn around on a jungler if you're Fiora at this item break point. Able to turn it around, gets the kill, and will have the ultimate to do it again before long. 2v1ing a Fiora. Now times that turns into a double kill post level 16. Feels like it's more than 50% of the time. We thought it was going to be Jarvan making the flag check and then being taken down, you know, on the turn from SKT. Instead, he walks in, his EQ was just bad.
I mean, he queued in the right direction. It just didn't connect somehow.
Well,
it's almost like the flag found extra range because of the turret that's dead, and for some reason it didn't connect. Either way, wasn't the best flag and drag.
It wasn't also the best decision to begin with. I think that works way less than you think it does if you are scoring Smeb in that scenario.
I mean, the turret died probably a lot faster than he was expecting, and he was like, "Oh, crap! now I'm here with the Fiora. I don't want to be here anymore."
Well, he got to build his Guardian Angel, so I guess that's some good news. You're sent to the Death Chamber and can buy it. We'll have it for the next fight. Very intriguing item choice from Clid. You would not expect this on anything other than a mid-lane Vedius-inspired Nocturne build with Sacking Lethality. He has the Edge of Night. I guess the theory is that he can be more strategic about his use of the Spell Shield and just open with Edge of Night. Very predictable. You press it just before you press R and go in, it will be armed. But different choice here from Clid. He's basically about, I will get to Zoe and make her not do damage to other people. Maybe I'll kill her, maybe I won't, but Zoe won't kill other people. So I don't mind this. Guardian Angel Edge of Night is absolutely one way to contest all of BD's time and trust that Gengo won't be able to not work as Faker.
Speaking of contesting, well, he gets the ult off as BDD is going to ult himself. Not sure why. Going to be put into the sleep chamber as there's a shield coming in. Survives for a lot longer than I was expecting, but Faker caught out again up on the top side.
That was almost the most unlikely escape ever. In the end, we can say, why did you flash? But you could see that he almost made it out with his hand in the cookie jar, literally crumbs on his face, almost made it away on that one. So that was very, very close. KT just about cement the kill, but the problem remains, was too far up without adequate backup. That means they're going to lose Baron control. Unfortunately, KT still need to run at Baron. I don't think they can afford to play a pressure game. It's almost time to just take the 50-50 KT. It never gets better.
Well, SKT going to beat him to it, looking for the Jarvan. Saying, let's see what we can see. Maybe we can take him out, but now Paranoia going to be down. And no kill onto the Jarvan, not even the GA.
It never gets better for Fiora in the side lane. It just gets better and better, right? So you're never going to get better for the Aatrox, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you kill Lissandra here, and it's, by the end, it's the latest self-ult that just about works, and then he almost lives in just what would have maybe tilted them for the entire year if he escaped here as Mata came to join.
It's almost like BDD was DM Zhonyaing in the face of Faker.
Takeaway point though, Valdez. You killed the Lissandra. Yes, it took a long time to do. Yes, the enemy jungler was there and might have been a level up. But I think you have to do the Baron. It's the only way you win this game. And the map state with Fiora pushing into Aatrox will never be better. You'll never have a 5v4. So unfortunately, KT make the controlled play of backing off. I think you had to go for the 30% play because it's soon going to be a 0%.
Those turrets in the base are laughable right now for Fiora. She basically just two-shot the one in front of the Aatrox.
She is ungodly powerful.
Oh boy, Smeb. Gotta be careful clearing out the wards here, buddy. Might have Gengo with him. Worldender comes in. Khan says, hello, AD carry. Let me try to take you out. Meanwhile, the Baron's gonna die. As Score not even able to get in range to try to go for a steal. And SKT, with all that map pressure, are able to pick up the objective.
And stick with my original analysis, should have rolled the dice on the Baron, because now you don't got no Baron. Now you see the Gengo comes in to almost lose his Guardian Angel. And that means SKT comes in with Baron. Best of luck, KT Rolster.
Spell shield there onto the Zoe, who is basically non-existent at this point as SKT pushing in for the victory. Teddy wants to make it interesting. Just gonna essentially zone them out with that Hemo Plague. SKT not going to overextend after that play. And just wait to slowly push in with the Baron.
Won't be that slow, Valdez. Minions are crashing in top. They're pushing all 3 lanes. Mata trying to catch, get a pick. But here come the minions. Here come the wallets. Good job, KT Rolster. SKT versus KT for the last time. Seems like SKT about to ink their name as the winners of this Telecom war.
Well, they had to engage. They tried to get onto the Lissandra, but it didn't quite work out. Mata gonna try to help him out on the backside. Khan finally joining in this fight, but Teddy going 1v5 for so long is eventually gonna go down, as SKT probably could have ended it there, but not very clean in terms of cleaning up that fight.
The Hemo Plague looked nice from Teddy earlier, but they're so close to the fountain that they were going to get the healing, so it wasn't going to kill him. And with the Hemo Plague down, Khan is less emboldened to dive the turret. Issue here is with no Hemo Plague, diving turret against 5 champions is actually risky to some degree. So they try the Ultra Dunk play, do SKT, but they can't chase for kills. Guardian Angel 100 health score gets away. Yes, Alistair dies, but there's a lot of toothless aggression from the remaining members of SKT. So it's not as clean as they would have wanted. They'll find a better time.
Decent amount of gold does go into the pockets of KT. Now they are still behind, but you can see that Baron power play up in the top right is currently 58 gold. Not very impressive. But still, KT have a long way to dig out of this hole, as all but just the 1 turret and the Nexus are available for their team. All the inhibitors also down right now.
And they don't even have these really super powered up item timings where it might not matter. For example, Zoe doesn't have Deathcap Void to have pressure on the lineup here. It's Merc, Scimitar, GA, and also the Edge of Night on the Nocturne, self-ult and pull for Lissandra and Vlad and Rakan. So very hard for BDD to do anything, and that means that SKT just get to push all 3 lanes again, and then this time press their buttons in the right order.
They're down on the power play, but we'll see if KT can do anything, as Teddy with a huge Hemo Plague does the damage. Will not go down in this one, will KT, as Gengo trying to do his very best with the GA, trying to take him out here. Faker gonna go pretty low, but it doesn't look like it's gonna matter. The Vlad will go down, but nobody else will, as down goes the Nexus. SKT finally able to take the 2-1.
And that does mean they close the distance on Griffin in first spot, and also cement their stage on trying to find overall second place. They are in a close-knit battle with Sandbox Gaming when it comes to top 2. And remember, we're in Korea, we're in the LCK, where every position you finish higher gets you through either a best of 3 or a best of 5. You skip a best of 3 and a best of 5 if you are in overall second place, and you're only 1 best of 5 away from booking a seat into the final. And you saw Griffin lose, SKT don't. There's always the chance that other things can happen, other twists and turns will come. The KT Rolster do take game number 1, but can't back it up with a series victory.
SKT gave us a scare there, I suppose you could say, up against KT in game 1. As cameras all on SKT, they look happy now after able to get the reverse sweep. Smev, unfortunately, not able to make it work there on the Aatrox or the Jace this time around. But at least they got that 1 win against SKT. Can't blame them for that. Doing a little bit better here in round 2 compared to round 1. And match score does mean a lot, but they're going to need to win some more series if they want to avoid relegations. Always will be hard to do that, of course, with so many good teams here in the LCK.
And I'll be looking for them to make things easier in the draft phase. Their drafts weren't necessarily poor in games 1 and 2, but they made things so tricky in game number 3. And game 2, after they kind of misplayed around the Jace lane, that seemed really tricky as well. There was a lot of kind of wincing and saying, okay, how do they find a good spot from where they are right now? And that tells you that your draft win conditions are a bit too narrow. It really made it quite tricky. And then you need very labored gameplay and for your enemy to make mistakes. And SKT are one of the better teams in Korea. Definitely not the most prone to mistakes They weren't flawless this series, some pretty big ones for the Game 1 VOD review.
Yeah.
But overall, they were the better team, and that does mean, once again, that race for second gets even cooler.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. This is really a Mata highlight, even though a lot of the action happens very early. Setup play with Lysandra Nocturne, we've all seen that before, but how about Rakan to come in from the bottom side on 9.5 to make that happen, and also to make this play happen alongside the Vlad, who wasn't full power, but enough power to get SKT to do quite well in this fight.
Tells you the Teddy Mata synergy on how to approach a team fight is on, even if at this point there weren't the deletion damage items that will be present later. Now we know Vlad is a multi-way flex for SKT. Khan wasn't playing at the start of the season, then he brought back the carries, like, aha, they can play it with Khan. Now we see that they're happy to run it in the AD carry, and that little flip of the draft is one of the reasons Vlad is such high tier, and a reminder that Vlad should not make it to the second round of picks over in Korea.
Just should not be in these games. Definitely does feel like something you want to ban out on the red side and just not let it go through, as super duper strong stays alive in this one, zones away the AD carry, and makes what could have been a huge mistake from SKT going too far into something not that bad.
Did you notice a small thing that we never kind of talked about this series? We never talked about the Rakan nurse, and we mentioned the Rakan buffs that came in 9.5 during Champ Select. I never felt like Rakan was too slow to be effective. In fact, the Rakan this game left off the page as a pretty good pick, so I think it shows us that, kind of like you suspected, seeing the extra guaranteed MS, because previously it was 14 to 1485 speed on the Grand Entrance based on boots. Now it's 1500 at all times, faster in the early game, more reliable, no change in speeds, and Khan seems like another engaged support. Somewhere Kingzone Dragon X looking to dust off Tucson's famous Rakan.
I mean, there were so many support bans in this series, in game number 3, I should say specifically. Galio, Tompkins, Shen, Thresh, and Braum, and then he found a way, even after the Alistar was picked before, to find something that was game-changing on the Rakan, so props to him, as this is definitely a pretty one-sided game throughout all of it. A couple of mistakes here from SKT, but they eventually put the nail in the coffin to make it a 2-1. Curious to see who's going to pick up that MVP from game number 3. Maybe Vlad again?
I think Khan or Mata.
Yeah, I guess Mata could get it then.
I think Khan is the more obvious one with how much pressure he soaked, and people always get very excited when someone 1v2s, even if Fiora is like,
True.
hits enough items, things work out, and it is going to be Khan. We go with the flashy plays. Khan, the MVP of summer season, kind of something that was lost in the shuffle of Kingzone's choking and just general inability to convert a good start of the year into a relevant late part of the year. Eventually became Fiora with lots of items, and these plays become more and more reliable, especially in the hands of Khan.
We only had to see that one play.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of it, obvious,
it.
right?
Yeah, just Fiora things, right? As
we don't get a vote.
We'll be hearing from Khan and Khan here in this second interview today.
Khan squared.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Khan and himself, played Vlad, had a very nice game.
네,
and also,
SKT가 오늘 승리
the
깔끔하게
Fiora. I'm going to hand it over to
가져가면서
Ji-sun for the
2위로
translation.
올라섰습니다.
Enjoy.
정말 기분 좋은
Thank you very
날인데요.
much, guys.
그럼 기분
Today
좋은
we'll
날,
be hearing
한
from
선수가
Khan
단독
for a
MVP
solo
를
MVP
받았습니다.
interview, and
보실게요.
SKT is
안녕하세요.
stepping up in the second place.
네, 야, 오늘 뭐 테디
Congratulations,
선수 생일
Kwan.
내일이라고도 하고
And her
정말
Teddy
많이
is having his
준비하셨던
birthday tomorrow.
만큼 좋은 모습 보여줬습니다.
네.
오늘 경기 전체적으로
So, how was today's game? Khan?
네, 뭐 스스로 생각했을 때는
Well,
이제
personally,
1세트는 좀 괜찮게 한 것 같고
I did
3세트
quite
같은
well
경우는
in
제가 이제
game 1 and
바텀
2,
사이드 돌면서
but in the game
이제
number 3,
운송소통 쪽에서 제가 못 들어가는
well, I
실수가
had some
있었는데
miscommunication
그런
with my
점만
teammates when I was
보완하면은
pushing
이제
side lanes, so if I fix those kind of problems, I think we'll be even better. However, KT Rolster, they did seem really strong, especially in game 1 and also game 2 and 3. Wasn't it a bit of a struggle for you guys? Well, game 1, well, Fiora is actually having a winning matchup versus Aatrox, but I had my teammates help to kind of win lane, but well, in the middle of the game, we kind of lost a lot of a team fight, so we were in a bit of a lose, but Well, game 2, we were able to focus back. I mean, KT Rolster is not a team that kind of lose focus, but we were able to kind of focus even harder than KT Rolster, and we were able to come back. And speaking of game 2, you locked in Vladimir, which is actually losing versus Jace matchup. Why was that? Well, I know Jace a lot, and I'm a good player, so I also know how to counterplay it. So I actually didn't really hesitate playing Vladimir against Jace. So I guess your experience in Jace helped you a lot, right? Yeah, so I know when Jace players use their E and Q combo, so it was kind of easy for me to dodge all the skills. So, for a normal, Vladimir players, it would be kind of struggling to play against Jace. So, is there any tips? Well, when you're facing up against Jace, you just have to dodge EQ. So, well, try your best to dodge it. Well, it's all about mechanics, right? Yeah, or not. I mean, that's the biggest mindset when you play a Vladimir against Jace. Well, moving on to game 3, we thought it was a Vladimir on top lane, and then you made the flex pick and you picked Fiora in the end. Well, I mean, we were just being really thinking of all the possibility, and we thought that it's a viable pick for the bot lane, so we just ended up giving Vladimir for Teddy, and I was playing Fiora. And also, you know, SK Telecom, all 3 laners are so good at Vladimir, mid, top, and AD carries, so we're always ready for it. And Kwan, in game 3, you were just solo pushing the side lanes on your own. But Fiora is the kind of champion that is good at 1v1, so I wanted all the other players to group up and do their things, and I was just trying to do my stuff in the side lanes, especially in the bot lane. But there was the time when I didn't check Zoe was coming, even though my teammates told me, so I think I have to get rid of those kind of mistakes. But there were a lot of highlights that kind of rounded out all your mistakes, so let's check out the solo kill playing 2v1. How did you see that angle coming? First, well, I was confident that I can play 1v2 unless it's 3v1, so I was just having the winning mindset in my mind. And did the teammates trust you? I told them if it's 2v1, you don't need to come for my backup. But if there's more, I need you guys for a backup. And as soon as they saw Kaisa and Lista coming for that fight, so all the other teammates my teammates were also coming for my backup, so I want to thank them for here. And currently, this is a meta of damage dealers on top lanes, so people say Khan will be the biggest beneficiary. Do you agree? I cannot say I'm the biggest one, but I enjoy this meta. But as always, I just want to say I'm good at tank champions and also the damage dealers. So I just don't want that frame on me. Like I'm a just DPS player. I'm good at both roles. So congratulations once again on Kwan, and your next opponent will be Hana Life Esports. It's a very important match for you guys to secure your second place. Well, we had 2 losses in the first round, and we also have 2 losses here in the second round. So the biggest thing is that if we lose against Sandbox, which is the team that we lost against in the first round, so I hope we can just win all the other series coming up for us. A lot of fans are out here to support you guys, so any message for them? Thank you for staying in the arena and supporting us. Thank you so much. Have a safe way back home, guys. Thank you. That's a very heartwarming message for your fans, and I hope you also have a safe way back home. Have a safe way back home, Mina, too. So thank you very much for this interview, and that's it for the first day of the week 8 at LCK, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Jisun, for that translation. Khan, very nice. Hoping that everybody gets home safe and sound.
So it's White Day in Korea, or White Valentine's Day as it was called. I think that means the guy buys something for the girl.
Yeah.
I think in Korea, Valentine's Day is girl buys for guy.
Yes.
A month later, guy buys for girl. A month later, everyone who's single eats noodles and feels bad. That's Black Day, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
They ate the black bean noodles.
Jjajangmyeon.
Jjajangmyeon.
It's
by
really
themselves,
fun to say.
Or in a group of single guys or girls. Whatever.
KT almost gave their fans everything they wanted, right? They picked up the victory. Genji definitely did. Their fans got exactly what they wanted. But cultural niceties out the window. There's no niceties with competition this fierce. And all KT can say is, our game score is not that bad, and we have one match to play. But what are the winnable matches for KT, and which are the hard ones? Because being a win behind Afrika and Genji, someone's got to fall to relegations, and at this point, it's going to be one of Genji, Afrika, or KT Rolster.
There's still that playoff race going on. Which of Hanwha Life, Dom1 Gaming, and Kingzone is going to make it in amongst the other three teams? Or which one is going to be excluded, I should say, as a big matchup. Two of those teams I mentioned going head-to-head. Dom1 up against Hanwha Life, going to be the matchup tomorrow, as well as Kingzone versus Jin Air. Jin Air did get one series win, and as we saw today, anything can happen, and Kingzone will have to show up and not drop any games there to Jin Air.
Your read is one of Dom1 and Hanwha Life makes playoffs, and the other one doesn't. Head-to-head could be so important.
So Kingzone kind of
just there.
You think like?
I think Kingzone, it's not obviously for certain, but Hanwha Life have been those gatekeepers for so long, it doesn't feel like things are changing. Unless they 2-0 tomorrow, it gets tricky in those last weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting close to the end of the season here for spring 2019. Me and Pop are going to be joining you guys tomorrow to bring those matches
Feeling good about
as
it.
well.
Yeah.
Once again, it could be playoff decider, those two matchups as well. So really got to look forward to that one. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We love you. Good night.